All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kabbalah Café. It is great to have you here this morning. I got to mention, I mentioned it anecdotally before. Today is Rosh Chodesh, and that means it's the first day of the Jewish month, and it is the Jewish month of the month of Nisan. Now, this month is like legendary. Why is it legendary? Well, first of all, it's one of my top 12 months.
Okay.
That's a joke, right? No, but really, if you what does the Torah say? Yeah, the Torah says, God tells Moshe to tell the Jewish people shortly before the Exodus, HaChodesh hazeh lachem, this month shall be for you, Rishon, u'lechem l'chadshei hashana. This should be the first month of the months of the year. Now we know that the year starts Rosh Hashanah, which is the month of Tishrei. What does it mean? It's the first month of the year for you. What does that mean? So the commentary, actually, the Medrash explains that when God created the world, he created the beginning of years, the beginning of creation that we know as Rosh Hashanah. But when he redeemed us, when he redeemed us as a people, he created a first month of redemption, which means like this. The month of Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, i.e. 6 months ago, right? 6 months ago today, it would have been Rosh Hashanah. So that marks nature, right? What is creation? Creation of the natural world that we live in, creation of the universe, the rules of nature. So that symbolizes nature. What does this month symbolize? Supernatural, miracles. So if you want to live an ordinary life, that's your first. 6 months ago, that's your beginning. If you want to live a supernatural life, a life that's not so tethered to the laws of nature where anything's possible, kind of a magical type of experience, that is this month. This month teaches us that we have the ability to dream, the ability to be the recipients of true miracles. And so it's a month that's filled with joy and celebration. Obviously, the highlight of the month is Passover, which takes place on the 15th of the month. First Seder, 2 weeks from last night, just to get everybody all panicked and worked into a frenzy, right? Today, 2 weeks from today will be the first day of Passover. And so Rosh Chodesh Nisan it's like the beginning of the month, and it's called Rosh, like Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Hashanah means beginning of the year. Rosh Chodesh means beginning of the month. But Rosh doesn't really mean beginning. What does it mean? Head. What's the significance? As I've explained many times, a head is not just the top of the body. The head also is the headquarters of the entire person.
Leader?
Leader also, right? The head is the leader. The head is the controls, that's where the seat of the mind is. It's where the actual brain is. It controls, it's the seat of the human being. It's like the control board for the whole human being. Likewise, Rosh Hashanah is the control board for the whole year, and Rosh Chodesh is the control board for the whole month. So as we as we are today, really impacts the rest of the month. So if there's one thing we should feel, the energy I'm giving you, we're starting off. Maybe if Diane is here online, I think she is. We spoke about this a while ago about doing setting the intention for each month. If we're setting the intention for the month of Nisan, first of all, the word Nisan is related to the word Nes. What's Nes? Miracle. The whole month, the name of the month evokes miracles, evokes the supernatural. So if we're setting the intention of the energy for the month, which we should on this day, Rosh Chodesh, well, then the energy of this month is about not taking nature so seriously. And I think there's a few different ways to look at that. Number one, to not be afraid to ask for the miracles that we need in our lives, right? Even if something seems impossible, like based on all the facts in the ground, right? The facts say this, the bank account says that, the doctors say the other, it can't be, it's not possible. This is the month where the impossible is possible. This is a month where miracles can and have happened. The Exodus was not possible. The Medrash says there was not one slave that ever escaped from Egypt, let alone 2 million people plus, walking out in the middle of the day. Not possible. It's the month where impossible things happen. It says that if you need a miracle, This is the month to make it happen. But I think also in our lives, because it's easy to push things on God. But the question is, what about us? What are we going to do for it? Not just hope and dream and pray, which is important, but what do we do for it? It's a month also where we can commit to going beyond what we consider to be our normal, our possibility, our status quo. So you think, well, okay, this is the max I can do. Let's say Jewishly, this is the max that I can invest in Torah study, in prayer, in mitzvahs. This is the max I can give to tzedakah, whatever it is. This is the max. Okay, that's the ordinary max. The month of Nisan says, go a little bit beyond the ordinary. Go a little bit big. Go a little bit extraordinary. As we ask for God to go beyond the norm and to change things up a little bit, we need to do the same thing. And indeed, it says in Kabbalah that as we are, that is the way things come back to us, right? The heavens are a mirror really to us. The way our disposition below really shapes the disposition above, and that's what comes down to us. All right, so that's all by way of introduction. That's not exactly the theme that we're covering today, but maybe it'll be integrated. But I wanted to start off with that because, of course, this is a very special day. Now, our theme today is the anatomy of a hug. And as I wrote in the email, which was sent very late last night, so if you didn't get it, I apologize, but if you got it, you know what I'm talking about. The anatomy of a hug, as I wrote, there are many different ways of sharing and expressing affection. You can express affection in words, in actions, I mean, things that we do for each other. And then there's ways in which there's physical contact that expresses affection. But perhaps one could argue, and we were talking about this just for a quick second before the class, Ellen and I, one could argue that a hug is really, on at least in one level, in one way, the most comforting and endearing form of physical touch, of physical contact. Why is that so? And as I wrote in the email, and I think this is very true, when a child falls down, more than a kiss, more than words of soothing, more than actions of giving a lollipop or a nice whatever it is, more than any of that, I think, anecdotally, a hug feels like the most comforting thing, right? The child feels vulnerable. The child feels, they've fallen, which, evokes this idea of, let's say they were climbing the monkey bar, like on the monkey bar, they fall down. So it's a sense of almost failure, right? Like not failure, but like a little bit of that of like, I wasn't able to do X, Y, or Z. And they're crying because they're hurt, maybe physically and emotionally. And all they want is to be wrapped up in an embrace. All they want, be wrapped up in an embrace. There's something about a hug that's so soothing. The tears flow sometimes even more when you're hugging because they can finally let it out. There's something beautiful about the hug. What is it about the hug that's so powerful? I want to share with you Kabbalistic insight. Now maybe you're thinking, what, Kabbalah speaks about hugs? It does. It does. In fact, the Kabbalistic wisdom on hugs is typically associated with a specific holiday. And I'll share with you that holiday soon. You might know it, but I'll share with you the idea about the holiday, which holiday, in a moment. And it all connects with our text. We're starting chapter 5 of our book today. All right. Ramon, good morning. Good to see you. Don't forget to take some. Is the water not hot? Is that possible? What? It was hot?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't take it.
All right. Is it turned off? All right. I'm just noticing my tea is not as, it's fine, but I'm just like, I hope no one else is getting disappointed. Is it plugged in? I think I'm plugged in, right? Or maybe I forgot to. No, it is plugged in. All right. It's all good. All right. Back to the story. So this is not the Kabbalah of hot water. It's the Kabbalah of hug, really the anatomy of a hug. So I want to draw your attention to the following truth about a hug. Most demonstrations of love and affection happen face to face. So like if you're speaking words of love and comfort and soothing, face to face. A kiss, face to face. What's unique about a hug? Now you're going to say, well, a hug is also face to face, and that's true. But the primary well, I guess one could argue, but the primary space or place of contact is actually with the person's back. Think about it. When you hug someone, so yes, obviously your body is in proximity to theirs, but your arm, right, which is doing the hugging, or arms, plural, are wrapped around the person's back. And that's really the primary focus of the touch, of the hold, right, which is the back. What's the symbolism? I'll share with you what Kabbalah says. In Kabbalah, you have this duality between pnimiyut and chitzoniyut, or panim and achar. You have the inner dimension, you have the outer dimension. Or in human, I guess, physiological terms, we would say you have the front and the back. Now, where do you see a person's unique features? The face. You can notice the face. That's what also Chachmas Adam Ta'ir Panav, King Solomon writes. The wisdom of a person makes their face shine. Which part of their face? The back of their head? No, the face. Not the back. We call it the nape or the back. What nape? Maybe the neck. Back. Not the back of the head. It's the face. If you want to know how someone's feeling, you're probably not going to get a good idea when you look at the back of their head from across the room. You're probably going to get a better sense of how they're feeling, what their mood is, etc. If you're looking at them face to face, it's like, oh, I can see how you're feeling. It's like when I'm teaching also, I can tell if people understand what I'm saying, if they have no clue what I'm saying. Like they look at me a little quizzical. I'm like, okay, I need to reset the room over here. I see this is not good, right? You can see that with the face. You can see what a person's thinking, see how they're feeling. You can see the mood. Alichtig apanim is Yiddish for an illuminated face. Someone has alichtig apanim. Someone's face is a light, meaning their face is glowing. That's the face. It's not the back of it. So the face, the front represents the features, the qualities, the chushim, the qualities of a person. You can see their eyes, right? You can see their face. You can see everything. Okay. What about the back? Back is kind of anonymous. A back, I don't know. Back is pretty nondescript. Comes along Kabbalah and says the following. If you really want to express love, not just love, but unconditional love. Unconditional love is expressed to the back, not to the front. Why? Because face to face, what is my love predicated on? Your wisdom, right? Your mood. Oh, you're happy. I'm also happy. In other words, there's like this relationship, but it's based on the feedback that I'm getting. A back relationship, no feedback. Just because of love. When a child, I'm getting some quizzical looks, but it's all coming together. You'll see in a second. When a child, let's talk about a child literally falling down. Child is climbing up the monkey bars, or whatever it is. Monkey bars, is that a thing? I think it's a thing. Used to be a thing, right? Falls down and starts to cry. And I said before, there might be the physical pain, but there's also the emotional pain. You ever see a kid who gets hurt looking for their mother, and then when they find the mother, then they begin to cry? You ever wonder, like, interesting. How does that work? It wasn't hurting a second ago. It's only hurting now that you see your mother. Poor mom, right? All she's good for is to be cried at? No. Sometimes, by the way, right? So this feels like it. No. What does it mean? Of course it hurts. But the tears are really coming from a sense of, I couldn't do it. I fell, right? I fell, not just literally, but also, metaphorically, I couldn't do it. And when you see someone that can comfort you, then you can let it out. Until then, you're around your friends, a little more stoic. I'm not hurt. I'm not going to show you my emotional bruises. But around my mom, absolutely. Let the tears flow. As I knock my glass up, let the tears flow. Why? Because I feel safe. I feel safe because I'm in the presence of someone who's not going to judge me by my face, who's not going to judge me based on my accomplishments, doesn't only love me because I'm talented or I'm skilled or I'm qualified or I'm accomplished. No, loves me for the back, for no reason, just because. Who loves me no matter what, unconditionally. That's the power of a hug. What does a hug say? A hug says, I love you. I care about you. I'm here for you no matter what. It's not about the face. The face is what I'm getting, the feedback that I get. That's easy love. That's easy. That's easy. Oh, I love you because of what I get from that. That's like we've said so many times. That's conditional love. That's fish love, or as I call it, selfish love, right? That's the love of what you get from it. Like I love fish because I get to eat fish. I don't love the fish, right? You like eating fish. What's the point? Yeah.
Okay, one love is okay. I love you because you love me back, right? Another
Right.
one, I love you because
that's the face to face.
Yeah, face to face. Another one, I love you because I'm a parent or vice versa, right?
Correct.
So I love you because you are who you are.
That's a parent. That's a parent. A parent is, yeah, even though you could say there's a reason, I love you because you're my child, that because is not a real because. That's a fake because. That means I love you because I love you. It's almost like this. Think about self-love. Think about the psychology behind self-love. I ask you a simple question. I don't mean, it's not specifically you, it's a question to everyone. But why do you love yourself? Why do I love myself? I'll just make it self-explanatory. Why do I love myself? Why is it that if I have, if there's a question, I will always give myself the benefit of the doubt, right? Well, it's never like, maybe I was wrong. No, I'm always right. I'm always the main character in my story, and right? I'm always right. Why is that? Self-love. But what's the self-love predicated on? Is there a reason for the self-love? There's a reason because it's me. But is that a reason? So there's always going to be a reason, but there are reasons that are reasons, and there are reasons that are not reasons. I know this is confusing. Let me explain. When I say a reason that's a reason, what I mean is a reason that's a very logical, rational reason. That's a reason that's kind of like let me think of an example. It's kind of like a transactional reason. It's like, okay, so you did this for me, therefore I appreciate that. I like you, maybe even love you, and I'll do something for you as well. Very transactional. When you talk about self-love, I don't love myself because I treat myself well. I don't love myself because I like what I see in the mirror. I don't love myself because X, Y, or Z. I love myself. I'm gonna use the word because still, because it's me. But that because is not the same type of because. There's two types of becauses. One that's a because that only because of the because it is, and the other because there's no other word in English will be happy. Right? One because is really I don't love you. Really I don't like you. We have no relationship. The only reason I like you, the only reason I love you is because of what you do for me. That's a because. That's what we call ava tuliya b'davar. That's a love that's dependent. That's contingent love. Batla davar, batla ava. Pirkei Avos, ethics of our fathers. You take away the contingency, the love is gone. It's like, it's almost like things used to be a little bit different in sports. Yeah.
Could we love ourselves because of, I'd say, from the roots, from what our parents imbued us?
Could be, but you just triggered something, and I'll get back to my sports analogy again in a second. If a person's self-love is as contingent as their love of someone else, that is a very unhealthy version of a self-image. If I fail and I cannot look myself in the mirror and I can't be okay with myself, I need to love myself unconditionally and still strive. Yeah. Yes, but self-improvement, but from a base of I'm okay with it, with myself. You're right. All right, let me get back to my sports analogy. No. Don't be sorry. No, this is good. This is how things get clarified. Okay, 1 second. Sports analogy. So back in the day, a few decades ago, somebody was on a team, baseball player, baseball season just started. Baseball player was on a team pretty much for life. That was their team. With some exceptions, Babe Ruth. Remember Babe Ruth? I mean, not remember, but like Boston Red Sox, they traded him to the Yankees. They were cursed. I don't know if that's real or not. The curse of the Bambino. Decades they didn't win the World Series until a Jewish guy named Theo Epstein came along, put together a team and won. And then he did the same thing with Chicago. The GM was also Theo Epstein. Anyway, what's the point? The point is that back in the day, people were lifers. You're committed to the team. You'll be committed to them as a fan. Nowadays, there's way more money involved. There's way too much money for loyalty. Come on. At this point, but no complaints, but it's a business. So players might sign a contract for 1 year, and everyone knows it's going to be 1 year. I'm going to pay you $22 million. 1 year. Next year, you'll go somewhere else. That's expected. There's no question of, oh my gosh, how can he go to another team? Where's the loyalty? No one's loyal. No one's loyal. So now you think about it. So you think about how you're a fan of that player for that year. Why are you a fan? Because that player can help your team win a championship. And then the next year, when they're on the other team, are you still cheering for them? Some people, minority might, for whatever reason. But the majority of the fans will be like, boo, or whatever, be indifferent. You helped us for a year. We appreciated it, but now you're elsewhere and we're also elsewhere. It's a transactional love. I love you as long as you're helping my team. And if you're not helping my team, I don't love you. I might appreciate that you're a good player, but I don't cheer for you. I don't have like an affinity. I'm not like, yeah, go. You're not mine. You're not my player. We don't treat ourselves the same way. A healthy human being doesn't treat themselves the same way. You cheer for yourself when things are going well, and when things are not going well, boo, get out of here. Yourself? Who does that? I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's not healthy. A healthy self-image is where no matter what, we love ourselves. Doesn't mean, the whole class, I think last week, maybe, give or take a week or two or three, was about this idea of not being satisfied, of being able to be, what's the word I was looking for? Discontent, right? Not content, of course. But there's a difference. Good morning. Good to see you. There's some breakfast. There's a difference between discontent and a lack of self-love. Those two are not the same. I can be discontent and have a very strong sense of self-love. And I need to have a strong sense of self-love. If not, the foundation's not there. So the reason why I talked about self-love is to express that is the type of love that I would call the hug love. The hug love. What's a hug love? Hug love is, almost sounds like a Hebrew word, hug love. Or like a biblical name. Hug love married. Who's hug love? No. Hug love. 2 English words. No Hebrew involved here. Right? What is hug love? Hug love is the back. It's not the face. It's not the feedback I get. Oh, so you asked about a child. Isn't loving a child because they're your child, doesn't that by definition mean that it's not essential, it's contingent because they're my child? Again, that's like saying that self-love because it's me is also contingent. That's not contingent. Even though I use the word because. Even though we're using the word because, it's still not the same as contingent. The self-love that we have is not the same of the love that I have for who's a Brave player that was on the team for 1 year. I can't even think. I don't think of current players. Freddie Freeman, who's now on the Dodgers and doing quite well, winning a championship last year. Freddie Freeman. How do I feel about Freddie Freeman? I don't know. Mixed feelings. I enjoyed watching him play for Atlanta. for a few years, but now I don't know. I don't know how to feel anymore. Freddie Freeman. Huh. How's it going, Mr. Freeman? How are you enjoying Los Angeles? Are you missing us yet? A little bit conflicted over there. A little bit conflicted. It's okay to be conflicted about Freddie Freeman. It would be weird to be conflicted about yourself. Like, oh, I did well at work today. Yes, I'm a fan of Ari Sollish. Not so well. I don't know. That would be a little weird. I can feel discontent. I got to work harder to make sure I'm more successful. But to feel like, am I a fan of this guy? So there's two types of becauses. We live in a world of because, right? There was even a song that had many because in a row. Because of the wonderful things he does, right? Off to see the Wizard of Oz. This is Kabbalah the musical this morning. Who would have thought? They're doing musical howl there. I guess it's all in the air. Yeah.
At the beginning of the class, you contrasted back love with front love.
Yes.
Okay, I get what you're saying about the hug,
Yes.
but front love does not have to be transactional.
Correct.
So I don't know what you mean by front love.
Doesn't have to be, but that is if the face-to-face love is coupled with the hug love. If it's only face love, then it's a problem. Give an example.
Sure.
Here's what I mean by face love.
That face love is transactional.
What I mean is that face love is I love you because of what I get to see. I love either the physical appearance, or I love what you do for me, or I love some.
What is front? Like, what is the action of front love? Like, how do you say, okay?
Yeah.
So what's front?
Oh, an
what
action?
are you
Like a
talking
kiss. A kiss would be face to face.
Well, a kiss can be because I love you. And
Right.
It's not transactional.
Correct. But that's when the kiss might be also coupled. It's not locked in on the physical part of it to one or the other necessarily, but it's more of the concept. So Kabbalah says concept of so let me explain. Maybe I have to take a half a step back. This terminology, where's it found? Why is it in Kabbalah? Why is Kabbalah speaking about modes of affection? Where's that coming from? Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs. So what is Song of Songs? It's a love story between a guy and a girl. That's Song of Songs. There was a big debate amongst the great rabbis, like thousands of years ago, about whether Shir HaShirim should be admitted into the canon of Jewish scripture. And guess what? It made the cut. Even though when you read it, it's like, oh my gosh. Danielle Steele wrote for the Bible? Is that somebody who writes whatever? A little bit steamy. It's a little bit, the genre is a little bit, romantic. It's like, wow. You have books of God speaking to the Jewish people. You have 5 books of Moses, then you have the prophets, and you have all this stuff going on. And then you have Song of Songs. It's like, whoa, okay, what's going on over here? It's a metaphor. Hebuk, hugs, nishikin, kisses. It talks about it in the book. But it's all metaphor about our relationship with God. And so vis-a-vis us and God, good morning.
Good morning, I'm sorry I'm like that.
How was the concert?
I was in there and I turned to come to the class.
Yeah.
I had to turn back around. It was calling to me. It was unbelievable.
I was thinking about relocating for a few, but I figured we got too much to go. Oh, good. Perfect.
Why I love Chabad.
Nice.
It was amazing.
Beautiful.
I'm sorry, I'm like everyone has got I brought capers.
Ah, look at that. The caper of the missing capers. All right. So back to the story. So front love, which is again symbolic, it's symbolized by kisses. It doesn't mean that someone who kisses someone, it's only superficial. No, it could also be motivated by something deeper. But the symbolism of face-to-face is something that, based on what I get, based on the feedback that I get, therefore, so it's more a little bit more evocative, not necessarily in the individual moment, but the concept represents the idea of something a little bit more transactional, whereas a hug represents something a little bit more essential. Let's put it this way. I've used this example countless times. The example would be a child. Today, I will be at some point at the JCC in Dunwoody watching my kids play flag football. That is going to be my day today at some point. Huh?
Indoor?
Outdoor.
You're off the hook.
Why?
Turn around.
Oh, it's raining?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I might not be watching my kids play flag football today, but if I were, and my kid gets a touchdown, what's gonna happen? What do you think I would do if my kid gets a touchdown? Woo, you did a great job. All right. And what happens if they don't get the touchdown? They drop a pass. Yeah, I won't say that. If I am any more evocative, if I'm any more expressive of my love for my child when they succeed versus when they fail, guess what message I'm sending? There's a drop more love or excitement about my love when you succeed versus when you fail. That's a dangerous message. You're loved a little bit more, maybe a lot more, but even a little bit more when you succeed. And when you fail, but a lot, yeah, you gotta catch that pass. You gotta catch that pass. Right, good parent. You gotta coaching your kid from the side. You gotta catch that pass. And when they score, that's a kiss, not a hug. A hug's when they're down, when they're feeling disappointed, when they're feeling maybe like a failure, which is a strong word. Hopefully, no one should ever feel like that. But when they're feeling maybe not like maybe that they fail, a hug says, "I love you deeply, closely, and dearly, no matter what you do." It's not about doing. It's not about the face. I know hugs are face to face. I get it. But as I said before, the main body of the hug is the embraces from the back. I'm embracing your back, meaning no matter what. It's not about the face. So this is how Kabbalah explains the anatomy of a hug. I'm going to draw something. I come with props today. Who does that? Me. Paper and a Sharpie, which looks way too small than a normal Sharpie. Oh, I'm cringing. You know what's going to happen. Oh, I hate that. Oh, that scraping thing. Oh, wow. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I feel hugged. I feel embraced. Okay, there's a holiday in which this is on full display. I almost cannot bring myself to write it. I'm going to do it anyway. Maybe it's not as bad as I think it's going to be. Not so bad. Pretty bad then. All right, here we go. I'm drawing a picture. This is charades. This is Kabbalah charades. Ready? 2 syllables, not 2 words. Does the number represent syllables or words? Do we know? Words. Okay, so can't see online. You guys see? There's no way you're gonna get this. It's a rectangle. It's a bird's eye view of something. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can draw it.
Oh,
Oh, it could be matzah, but it's not. What do you think?
Oh, a field.
Kabbalah and charades. Who would have thought we would have? How about Kabbalah and capers? This is like the ultimate caper. All right. Sukkah.
Oh, a bird's eye view.
Yes, a bird's eye view. Oh, what, you wanted to draw 3-dimensional? What are you guys?
I could have done that. Now we'd get a sukkah.
Okay, you're right.
And in fact, if you don't put any decorations hanging inside, then it's a Chabad sukkah.
Okay, you guys see this? Look at this. Look at this. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, but now I can't draw the other ones. It has to be a bird's eye view. All right, well, now that you know what it is, so a typical sukkah will have 4 walls, right? Like 4 walls, like either a square or a rectangle or something. Sukkah, like the Sukkot hut. Okay, great. I want to draw. Okay, draw this again. Okay, so the top version, let me just zoom in online so you guys can see first. Yeah, top version is again, bird's eye view, no schachon, so that for the benefit of our illustration here. So that's a 4-wall sukkah. That's kind of the sukkah. What do I have? Oh no, I have like a deck thing. I used to have a sukkah like this. Looks like this, 4 walls, right? Then you have a 3-wall sukkah. Now, is a 3-wall sukkah kosher? Absolutely. Absolutely. 3-wall sukkah is kosher. Now, how do you get your schachon? You got to have boards up. So imagine if this room were a sukkah. 1, 2, 3, and then this, let's say this was open and this was right. You put schach on top, you have boards on top, you lay your bamboo or your whatever it is on top, and you're good to go. Great. There's one more type of sukkah that's kosher. And that is a sukkah that has 2 walls and a third. Now, typically it's going to be attached, the third wall. But if you notice what I just did here, zoom in on it, is I wrote the Hebrew word sukkah.
Wow.
Mind blowing. Says in the good books that the actual Hebrew letter is sukkah. Now I know, Sama looks like a square, that's like a mem. I got it. So we'll round it off a little bit for the sake of our combo. Right, but sukkah is roughly the three letters sukkah show us halachically, legally, but like, according to halakha, Jewish law, how the 3 different ways to build a sukkah. Now, there's not different ways. It's just like, do you have to have 4 walls? The answer is no. You could have 3 walls, and not even 3 walls. You could have 2 and a little bit. And here's where it gets mind blowing, because as the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chabad, the 18th century founder of Chabad, writes in his works based on the ancient Kabbalists, guess what symbolizes the bare minimum walls of a sukkah? A hug. You have from your shoulder, you have 1, 2, and a little bit of the third, right? You guys see this? What am I doing? Almost like a robot dance here, stationary, sitting down robot dance. A hug, when you hug someone, you wrap your arm around them, 1, 2, and a little bit of the third, right around the other side. That is a hug. A hug is like a sukkah, 2 walls. Sounds like people are having fun in here, which is probably not a good idea for the school. All right, so here we go. You guys with me so far? Sukkah can have 4 walls, 3 walls, or 2 and a bit. Actually, the minimum size of the third wall is a tefach, which is a hand's breadth, which is right there. That's literally the third segment of the arm, right? Shoulder to elbow, elbow to wrist, wrist to the end of the fingers. Boom. That's your 3 walled, 2 and a little bit walled sukkah. What does it mean? What's sukkahs? Sukkot. What is the holiday about? It's a holiday that we celebrate and we express our appreciation for God's unconditional embrace. It's a holiday. What's the joy of Sukkot? There's such a joy. Zman simchateinu. All holidays are joyous. They're all holidays. They're all festivals, days of festive celebration. But the one holiday in our prayers that we call Zman simchateinu, the holiday, the festival of our joy. But Passover, I know I'm interrupting my sentence. Okay, it's going to be a very long sentence in the transcript. On Passover, we say Zman cherutenu, the festival of our freedom. On Shavuot, we say Zman matan Toratenu, the festival of the giving of the Torah. On Rosh Hashanah, what do we say? Is Yom HaZikaron, Day of Remembrance. On Yom Kippur, we talk about Day of Atonement. And on Sukkot, we call it the festival of our rejoicing. All holidays are happy, but Sukkot is the only one specifically associated with Simcha. V'hayisa ach sameach. The Torah says you should be only happy. What's the happiness? It's symbolized in this. When can you really be happy? It's when you know you're being hugged. As long as you think that your relationship is predicated on how well you perform, it's a very complicated relationship. Let me just speak very frankly here. If you believe that God only loves you when you perform, when you do this mitzvah, that mitzvah, if you didn't do it, then God's not going to like you. If that's your impression of God, if that's your God, if your God is a petty accounting God, well, let me look at the ledger here. Let me see how well Sollish is doing here on this ledger. If that's your impression of God, that's a very complicated relationship. That's a very fraught relationship. That's a relationship of incredible unease and dis-ease. What's the dis-ease about? I'm never sure if I'm measuring up. And who can measure up to God's expectations? Right? Human expectations, we don't live up to humans that have expectations of us, let alone the creator of the world. We're gonna get everything right perfectly. Are you kidding me? Not happening. So then what? So what's our self-image? I'm terrible. I'm no good. That creates like, that gets in your head. Suddenly now, like, I don't measure up to God, right? I'm not excelling. I'm not where I need to be. God's probably not happy with me. All of that is a face relationship with God. What's the hug? The hug relationship with God is recognizing that God loves us no matter what, which by the way is not a free pass. It's not like, oh, if I'm gonna get a hug anyway, might as well. That's not what that means. That's not what that means.
That was gonna be.
That was the takeaway. That was gonna be the takeaway. Sorry for taking away that takeaway.
I was on my way to McDonald's.
There you go. The point is not very important. God loves me anyway. Imagine if a child would say, child, you can't even blame a child if a child were to think like this. Child would say, my parents gonna hug me anyway. Imagine a spouse says, well, my spouse is gonna love me anyway, might as well. That's unhealthy. If you know you're loved unconditionally, what does that motivate you to do? Show up with your best self, not take advantage of that. That's a level of deviousness that we're not even talking about here. Someone who says, oh, I know God loves me unconditionally. We're learning, Kabbalah says, Sukkot is all about the hug, God loves me unconditionally. Therefore, well, let me test those limits. You love me now? Like the old, Verizon commercial? Can you hear me now? Right? Do you love me now? How about now? You love me now? How about now? Right? That's not okay. That's not healthy. The healthy approach is, I know I'm loved. I know I'm unconditionally loved. Let me live up to that. Let me step into that. Let me be my best self. Let me be the best partner in this incredible relationship. That's the way that's, I would say, the healthy way to respond to this teaching. Kabbalah is not dangling stuff in front of us to tempt us into some sort of, counter or contrary behavior. On the contrary, Kabbalah teaches us this to reassure us, to not live with a sense of guilt and unease and dis-ease about how am I performing? How am I doing? Is God going to love me? What if I fall short? What if I don't? Take it easy. God's going to hug you anyway. Now, do the best that you can, recognizing that you're a human being and you're never going to be perfect. And God has, Torah gives us a standard, an absolute standard, and we're all working toward that. Who said something amazing recently about standards? I had to ring in yesterday. Anyway, it's like golf. There's the flag, there's the hole. Yeah, but I'm golfing, so I'm gonna get close, right? We're gonna get approximate. I'm not gonna get it. We're not gonna actually get into the hole. We're gonna get close. Maybe in the water, maybe in the sand, whatever. Maybe we'll do some mini golf instead. Rowan, you had a question or comment?
Well, I'm kind of along with you now, but Sukkot is like shelter or boost, right?
Protection. Exactly. Good point. What is a sukkah? It's like this, it's a structure of shelter and protection. And that's literally what a hug is. A hug is basically saying to someone, we all live in this world that can be so complicated and so scary sometimes, right? And you can feel like, with such unease about just life in general. But here I'm declaring that you are loved. I love you no matter what. Talk about the ultimate shelter.
I love what you said, because I was talking to my mom, and she was like, I'm ready for my husband, I'm ready for my partner. And I said, well, it says that God blesses those by the labor of their hands. You can't just sit there. You're like, well, I know God just knows. God said, no, it's not everybody. We
Gotta work.
Right? We love when God blesses us with those gifts, but we also got to work too.
And that's along the lines of what we're saying now, is that you're loved by God, but you still got to show up and do that. That doesn't let you off the hook. On the contrary, it puts you, right. Yeah, we're not supposed to take advantage of it. We're supposed to then therefore lean into it. Okay. So all of this is to express the symbolism of the hug. So what is a hug? So let's recap, and then we're going to move forward. So the recap is, there are different forms of physical, different forms of expression of affection. And each one, today we're extolling the virtue of what? Yeah, oh yeah, Put on the cart. Hi, Shia. Shia, you gonna play football today? With the rain? Hmm. That's one of the. You think so?
Yeah.
Make sure. You don't think they're playing? All right. They have that field at the top, which is like
Oh, yeah.
it's like
Maybe that
the executive,
rain
but they might they can't do all of them. I just all right, we'll see. Fine. So in short, let's summarize. And then we're gonna move on. The summary is like this: different forms of physical effect, different forms of expression of physical affection, and each one has its virtue. I know what I'm saying. Look, today we're talking about the hug as the be all and end all. Trust me, in Kabbalah, you'll have sometimes we'll talk about kiss. Oh, you know what a kiss is? Oh my gosh, a kiss is istavkos rucha barucha. That's Aramaic. Or I can tell you it's Aramaic. Who's going to fact? No, it is Aramaic. For it's a connection of spirit, of breath, right? Which breath represents the soul. It's like it's a soul. So maybe we'll do a class on kiss. But today is about the hug. Because the hug represents something interesting. It's not the typical face to face. It's not like I love you because of what I see, because of what I get. It's I love you no matter what. Oh, and to bring it back, I wrote this in the email, but I just want to kind of like close the loop on this. It's not only kids. When an adult, when you and I feel vulnerable, when you and I feel maybe ashamed about something, the most soothing thing is a hug. The most soothing thing is the hug and or its conceptual parallel. Someone to say either verbally or through physical action, you are loved, you are valuable no matter what. You are no less loved because of your failure than you would be if you would have succeeded. You are loved unconditionally, symbolized by the hug. There's nothing as soothing as a hug. Yeah.
Well, if somebody doesn't want that hug, you want
Listen,
to give that hug, but they don't want the hug.
I'm with you. All right. Listen, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be about the actual hug. It's more about this. What does a hug represent? Kabbalah speaks of symbols, the symbolism of a hug. And that's why it's the point of contact. Yes, there's obviously when you hug, you're pulling them into you, body to body. But the point, the mechanism to do that is the connection to the back. It symbolizes the sukkah. Sukkah symbolizes that whole that type of attachment. All of which is to say that there's two types of love. There's a love that's conditional, a love that's unconditional, expressed in different ways. Now with this, I do want to start getting into our text because we are starting today. I'll take the top one. Did I correct? Jeff, please take and pass. And Ellen, please take and pass as well.
Taking is not so easy anymore.
You see that? Oh, I thought you meant based on what you said before about accepting the
No,
hug.
I'm talking about,
I got it. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is crazy. So why are we talking about hugs? Because the opening of chapter 5 breaks down hugs even more. This is wild.
You
One
didn't check.
second.
You didn't check this out first.
Of course I checked it out, but I'm reminding myself of how. All right, this is from Song of Songs. Okay, hold on. Before we jump into it, because I don't want to read it and be like, well, let's talk about it again. Let's just get this. Let's get this front loaded. Song of Songs. Well, okay, fine. Open up the thing, but we're not going to read it. I'll just read the verse. The verse says in Hebrew, "Smolo tachas laroshi." Chapter 5 at the top in the Hebrew.
Page.
89. What I'm saying, if you open up the booklet, you'll see it right there.
It says LP.
In the first paragraph, not the first. We're not reading it. I'm just reading an excerpt. First line, second to last word. Smolo tachas laroshi, v'yaminai techavkein. That's the verse. What does it mean? Your left hand. Sorry, his left hand is under my head, and his right hand hugs me, embraces me. Let's break this down. This is Song of Songs. As I told you, it's written as a love story. This is the woman point of view. It alternates between the points of view. And we understand this as God and us. Okay. So God and the soul is the feminine. So she says, his right hand is beneath my head. His left hand, did I say it right? His left hand is beneath my head, and his right hand embraced me. So this is an interesting type of hug. Burn, I'm going to give you a hug to demonstrate. He's not in yet. 3, 2, 1. Burton, we're talking about hugs, and all I want to do is give you a hug now. Not gonna pull the rug out from under you. Give you a hug after the class. Okay, so imagine this. Imagine this type of hug. Should really demonstrate. Really, this is gonna happen? All right. Oh my god. All
It's
right.
gonna happen,
All right.
but don't.
I'm not gonna. There's no wrong impressions here.
Okay,
This is all right. You ready?
yes.
I don't know if you're ready. All right. You ready? So this is the hug. You ready? The hug goes like this, and there's a little bit of left hand under the head action. That's the. I'm just gonna patch it. That's the. That's as far as I'm gonna go.
Really under the head.
Yeah.
So it's not beneath
Oh,
the head, it's
so here-
under the head.
Oh, so here's the deal. So most time we think of a hug. Look at this. The AI cameras follow me. Very good. So most of the time, yeah, it does that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's panning. It's almost like we have a guy in the control. So most of the time we think of a hug as like a double embrace. Nah, what kind of hug is that? Says King Solomon. Who does that? Barbarians, reckless people. A real hug, you got one hand by the head, the other hand's embracing. So we still have the 3-wall sukkah. Don't worry, we didn't lose that. We didn't lose the unconditional embrace of the back. But the other hand is by the head. What a tender hug, etc. Okay, great. So smolo, tachas, his left arm is under my head. V'yamina techavkeni, and the right hand, the right arm is hugging. Kabbalah says, right? Sounds cool. The anatomy of a hug. Let's deconstruct the anatomy of a hug. What's left? What's right? What's head? What's hug? Got to break all this stuff down. We started breaking it down. Generally, I gave you the general Kabbalah of a hug. But today's class is called the anatomy of a hug, which means that we're going to break this down. What's left? What's right? Well, here's what we know.
Does it change for a lefty?
I don't know. Your mileage may vary, but here's the general concept. What's right, what's left? So the first thing we know, so if you study a little bit of Kabbalah, we've all studied, I think we've all studied more or less a lot of Kabbalah together, or some Kabbalah together. So you know that right is symbolic of the midos, the emotions. Right is symbolic of chesed, and left is symbolic of gevura. What's chesed and gevura? Let me define this. Chesed is love, gevura is discipline. Gevura is discipline. So let's explain this a little bit. So love, chesed, love, right side. The right side is always supposed to do with love, giving, kindness, generosity, connection, embrace, right? Which is, by the way, the second half of the verse from Song of Songs 2:5 says the right hand embracing. Well, that makes sense. That's consistent with right. Right means embrace. But what's the left hand under the head? So forget head for a second. What's left? Left is gevura. Now, typically, by the way, we associate gevura with rejection. Gevura, it says, La'olam yehei adam yimin mekareves u'smol daicha. A person should always, with the right arm, embrace and the left hand reject. That's what it says. Which the way we understand this Talmudic passage means that even when you reject, do with your, again, for most people that are righties, do with your weaker hand. The left hand should be the rejective hand. The right hand, which is the more dominant hand, we should always bring closer. We should always be more quicker to embrace than to reject. But the left is typically associated with rejection because the left is connected with this idea of gevura. Gevura doesn't literally mean rejection, but it does mean discipline. Gevura is strength, but strength is also like severity. It's it could be a little bit harsh. Gevura, think about like a muscle. So strength. Think about a bodybuilder. Think about Arnold. Arnold. The Arnold. I'll be back, right? Arnold, right? When you're posing a muscle pose, what are you doing? You're squeezing your muscles. You're not like, oh. You're like, oh, you're tensing. Gevura is tense. Gevura is intense. Right? Which is where we're gonna have to be in this rain. Anyway. Oh, I should have gone with the sukkah joke. Intense.
Somebody stole the tag.
Yeah. That's the Watson and you know that joke, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, what's his name? Who was the
Sherlock Holmes.
Holmes and Watson, they're camping. And Holmes says to Watson, I'm gonna teach you the power of deduction. Wakes up in the middle of the night. He says, look up, what do you see? He says, I see the sky, I see the stars. And he says, what do you see? Sherlock Holmes, the great detective. He says, I see that someone stole our tent. Anyway, yeah, that's the joke. Back to the story. We gotta follow the trail here. Keep everything So what's the point? Gevura is associated with, it's a little bit harsh. Chesed is love, kindness, love. Right is always embracing. You're good. You're amazing.
The Fabrengen.
Depends on the farang. The left, sometimes farangs can be a little harsh. The left is a little bit harsh, a little bit discipline, harsh, judgment, gevura. Look, we don't have time to go through the whole genre of gevura, but I'm giving you some key ideas about gevura here. It's always the left side. By the way, that's why you'll always see. That's why in the Code of Jewish Law, it actually tells us how to get dressed. And it says, right first, then left. You're putting on a shirt, right, left. Looks like I'm boxing. Right, right, left. Putting on your pants, right, left. Putting on your socks and shoes, right, left. You tie the shoe on the left, right? You tie the left first, tefillin, left side. But it's always right over left. In fact, many people will button their jackets. Women's jackets are buttoned right over left.
Yes.
Men's are left over right.
Except
Look on Shabbat, come to synagogue on Shabbat, and look at kapatas. It looks like I'm a conductor, the long black coat that some Chabadniks wear. You'll see it's right over left. It's created right over left. Some people, when they button their jacket, their weekday jacket, it's not a kabbalah, they'll fold the button in and go right over left this way, and not under, over. Why? Because the right represents chesed, kindness. We always want to have more dominant kindness over the opposite. We want God to deal with us more dominantly in a kind way than a strict way. So that all raises a question. What does it mean? Smolo tachas laroshi, v'yaminu tchafkeni. That his left hand, his means God. In this context, it's the soul speaking about God. God's left arm, left hand, so to speak. God doesn't have a body. But the left is under my head. The left is under my head, and the right embraces me. What does that mean? What we're about to encounter in chapter 5 of our text is one of the most incredible ideas. Notwithstanding the power of the embrace and unconditional love, etc., what motivates? What's the ultimate? What's an even more powerful motivator? Sometimes a little bit of gevura, a little bit of, I'm not going to say negative energy, but a little bit of pressure. And I said before, when you feel loved unconditionally, shouldn't that motivate you to show up and be your best self? It should. But you know what most immediately does that? Sometimes a little bit of a poke, a little bit of a kvetch, a little bit of squeeze. An employee who's working in a company, say a big company, thousands of employees, Coca-Cola, right? Imagine if they're told by their manager, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. Okay? You might be motivated to show up and work hard because you're being loved. Imagine if you get a performance review and audit that says, well, these are the areas that you're falling short. You really need to step up your game. That also might be a motivation. Which is a greater motivation? The answer might be it depends on the person. But certainly the idea of gevura being a motivator is certainly a thing. Gevura, that idea of being a little bit strict, a little bit, come on. You got it. Like either you step up or that can really. Now, we've spoken the last several weeks. I know I'm not finishing my sentence. It's fine because I'm trying to move quickly through this. Not quickly, but move forward. We spoke the last few weeks about this truth. The truth being that sometimes it takes hitting a rock bottom to really grow and climb. Because so often we give ourselves more leeway and more leeway. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. But then when we're facing some actual consequences, like losing everything, might be a pretty real consequence. Then like, okay, well now it's real. Now I got to step up. That is not chesed. None of what I just said in the last 60 to 90 seconds is chesed. All of that is gevura. The hitting rock bottom, the like looking in a mirror and saying like, this cannot go on anymore. That's what we call gevura. And gevura can actually lead to the greatest rise. And that's why it says smolo tachas haroshi. The head, the greatest elevation can happen specifically through gevura. Now, the way he's about to map this out, it wasn't by accident that I spoke about Sukkot. He's going to map it out vis-a-vis the high holiday season. Rosh Hashanah, and I know we're Passover, so like, what are we talking about 6 months ago? or 6 months from now, yeah, we're getting a jump on the holiday season. Some people are getting ready for Passover. We're getting ready all the way for Rosh Hashanah.
It pertains to Passover
Maybe.
because you are leapfrogging over the holiday of
Right.
Passover.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Frogs, Passover.
Good.
Oh,
Leapfrog,
Yeah.
Pesach, jumping over. Good. We got it covered. It's semantic.
they can't all be good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can definitely relate. Now, back to the point. The point is, how would you characterize the energy of Rosh Hashanah? The energy of Yom Kippur? Chesed or Gvura? I mean, we call it Yom Hadin, Day of Judgment. What does that sound like? Hugs?
Rosh Hashanah is Chesed.
I know Chassidus explains it, but I'm saying, like, if you think about it, typically the association with high holidays is Day of Judgment, days of awe, Yamim Noraim, days of awe. What is that? Literally, awe is left side. It's Gvura is Yira, awe. Yamim Noraim, days of awe, absolutely the left side energy. And so what he's about to say, we're going to read this in, it's fun giving introductions, we're running out of time. But as we'll do like 5 minutes of reading. As we explore, let me think how I'm going to articulate this. As we explore the holiday season of Tishrei, the high holiday season, we're going to see that the first thing we encounter in that season is smolo tachas aroshi, is the left that lifts us up. And then after that, you have the hug. When's the hug? Sukkot. I already gave the second half of the holiday season. I already gave the second half of the month the way before. Meaning you first have, and the order of the verse is specific. First you have the left by the head, and then you have the unconditional love. The first thing is you light a fire, say, come on, you got to do better. And then you get the unconditional hug. Because sometimes you get the unconditional hug right away without any demands, well, then the person may never grow. They may think that life is one big vacation. They may actually never get the sense of, I need to show up. You got to put a little pressure and then say, by the way, I still love you no matter what. You put the pressure, it's like a child when you raise a child. Whatever you do is good. This child say expectations, demands. When they fail, then they get a hug. You with me on this?
Yes.
Small tachas aroshi, then you mean
So you're giving them Gevurah as well as chesed when you hug them.
Also, right,
They
you
have
give a
to-
little bit of this, a little bit of that.
They have to-
Absolutely.
They do have to.
I like that hug, by the way. I think I'm going to hug people that way now.
I am not taking any responsibility for
A little
yours.
pat under the
Do
head.
you listen? Do not quote me on that. Do not listen. You
have it on film. It's okay.
We actually do have it on film. That is correct. All right, let me open this up. What's this called? I got it. Power.
Was it my right side or my left side? Oh, it's my right side. Good.
Okay, you guys ready? We're gonna go inside. I'm gonna read a little bit. Chapter number 5, page 88. Y'all have it there. Now for our online crew, stay with me because you are about to see it right here. Okay, let's go. In light of the above, we can understand the words, his left arm is under my head. Sound familiar? Smolo tachas laroshi. His left arm is under my head. What does that mean? For only through his left arm is it possible for a person to reach his soul's essence, its head. In other words, when does the essence, the purest potential of the soul come out? A little bit of gevura. You need a little bit. You got to work it over. You got to push someone to perform, and God pushes us a little bit also. As explained earlier, let's continue inside. In order for the innermost core and essence of the soul to be revealed, amid an awakening of the yearning for God with all your might. Remember, there's a reference to the Shema, and we have 3 loves in the Shema: with all your heart, with all your soul, and then b'chol modech, with all your might. And with all your might is way deeper than the first 2. But in order to reach that level, this is specifically the process of humbling. One humbles oneself for the fact that he is distant from godliness. Let me explain this. Again, we said this in previous weeks, but let me just quickly explain. This is a self-humbling that comes from a self-audit of being introspective and saying, hold on, where am I holding in life? Ayeka, where am I? The first call that God calls to Adam after the sin of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he says to Adam one word, Ayeka, where are you? And as the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chabad, said to the interrogator in Tsarist Russia when he was being interrogated, the minister of religion came to him and he said to him, tell me, what does the word mean? Why does God ask Adam, Ayeka, where are you? Doesn't God know where he is? And the Alter Rebbe told the guard, he said like this, a person might live X number of years, X number of months, X number of days. And in that moment, when he said that years, months, and days, he didn't say X, he gave a number, and that was exactly the age of the interrogator. He said a person might live X number of years, X number of months, X number of days. And God wants to know from you, Ayeka, where are you? Are you living your potential? Are you living up to your calling? I invested so much in you. I continue to invest in you. I continue to give you life, breath, mind, heart. I give you so much every morning. You're infused with all these abilities. What are you doing with the abilities? Ayeka. God says to Adam, where are you? I created you in my image. Where are you? Are you where you need to be? Are you hiding behind a tree, embarrassed based on what you did, feeling very naked and ashamed? Right? But that's the eternal call to the human being. That eternal call, this whole little meditation that I just did with you, maybe it didn't sound like a meditation, but that whole thought experiment, that's kavura, that's not love. Ayeka, where are you? That's kavura. You know what love sounds like? No matter where you are, I love you. That's not what God says to Adam. He says, Ayeka, where are you? How did you get there? You were at the top of the mountain. How'd you get to the bottom? Ayeka. That's the humbling. But you don't have to wait for God to ask you that. And if God asks you that, let me know how that conversation came through the cell phone. You don't need God to ask. You can ask yourself that. It's a self-driven Ayeka. Where am I? Where am I holding? Let's continue. Likewise, this is all gvura. This is all left side energy. Likewise, this yearning is awakened through a person's distress over the numerous concealments and obfuscations, and especially through his distress over his sins and transgressions. In other words, a person is distressed over the fact that God in general is hidden in this world, especially compounded by the individual's efforts in adding layer upon layer of concealment over their own soul through misdeeds and the like. All of this back inside is an expression of the left arm that rebuffs, smoldoche, the left arm that rejects. One humbling oneself is the idea of the left arm, and likewise the distress and anger over one's spiritual plight is also, I added that word, an expression of the left arm. So left is gvura. So left sounds, it doesn't sound so fun to be so self-introspective that you're criticizing yourself and you're finding yourself lacking your relationship with God. That doesn't feel comfortable. That's not like a feel-good experience. And yet, smolo, this left side energy, tachazaroshi, this lifts you up. Let's continue. We're going to go just give me another minute or two. Now the source of this quality within man, within the human being, is the supernal left arm. Where does a person get the ability to channel the left side energy? Because it comes from above. In other words, back inside, the divine service of the left arm that rebuffs is awakened by a revelation of the supernal left arm. Meaning, there are certain times a year when you feel God's love, and certain times a year when you feel God's judgment. Roughly, it corresponds to this month is the love month. Nisan, we're starting it today, Rosh Chodesh. Nisan and Rosh Hashanah, Day of Judgment, Day of Atonement. That's more of the strict energy. To illustrate back inside, during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, our divine service is in the mode of the left arm that rebuffs. This is why in Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish people act as beggars and paupers. What does that mean, beggars and paupers? Since when? Read some of the prayers. Next time you're standing Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Shul, read the English. See what it says. We stand before you like paupers. We are bereft of any merits. God, we ask you in your kindness, give us what we need, not because of our own merits. Literally. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vaneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vaneinu. Be kind to us, be gracious, and answer us. Because we don't have any good deeds. Tzedakah v'chesed. Act with us kindly, not because of us, because of you. That's the posture that we take. We are unworthy. Give us what we need anyway. That's not evoking love. That's evoking a little gvura. That's the humble, right? That's where I'm going to read that sentence. That's where Rosh Hashanah and Jewish people act as beggars and paupers, humbling themselves thoroughly. Let's continue. The same is true of the confession during the 10 days of repentance of Yom Kippur. When one declares, I have sinned, I betrayed, Hashamnu, Baganu, we strike our chest in this type of sublimation. And through this self-humbling, the Jewish people attain a genuine tshuva, which means the return, that emanates from the innermost core of their souls, returning, page 90, to God from the depths of the soul's innermost core, as was explained earlier concerning the shofar blowing on Rosh Hashanah. Now, Israel's divine service is such, next paragraph, second paragraph of 90, because the supernal left arm is revealed then. As the verse states, God has revealed his holy arm. And that's a reference to the left arm. Zohar Pinchas, Kabbalah interprets this verse to be referring to Rosh Hashanah, a time when God reveals his holy arm, i.e. the divine attribute of Gvura, as in the verse, God has sworn by his right hand and by his powerful arm. That refers to the left. This attribute of Gvura is revealed at that time. Therefore, our divine service then is in the mode of the left arm that rebuffs. In other words, on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, high holiday season, since God is emanating the energy of the left side, we mirror that in our, we also are in a posture of left. And let's do one more paragraph. Hence, his left arm is under my head. It is specifically through the quality of the left arm that one attains a lofty level, a level far more elevated than what is reached through the quality of the right arm that draws close. And this is how we're going to end it today. Now, it doesn't mean that there's no value in the right. The whole class, up until this last 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, we're talking about the power of the hug, which is the unconditional embrace, which is the unconditional love. That's the right. That's all right arm. That's the Yamin Techavkeni. It's the right arm embrace. But how do you get there? How do you get to feel the unconditional love? It's only if you hold yourself to account. And how do you hold yourself to account? Knowing that God is holding us to account. In other words, it's by the energy of God holding us to account that we hold ourselves to account, that we can then step up. And then when we step up, God says, oh, by the way, FYI, I love you regardless. That's the process. You don't want to take advantage of the love. Therefore, you have to show up. You have to work. You have to hold yourself to account. But knowing that ultimately at the end of the day, not beginning of the day, the end of the day, no matter what happens, God will be there to embrace you. So what's the homework this week? Homework? Who says there's homework? Soul work, not homework. Written, absolutely. What's the soul work for this week? Here's the deal. As I said all the way at the top of this class, today is the first day of Nisan. It's the month of miracles. It's the month of redemption. It's the month of love. God took us out. In the language of the prophet, maybe Isaiah, God took a nation from amidst the bowels of another nation. God extracted a nation from a nation. We were absorbed within another nation. God took us out and gave us our independence. 3,300 plus years. And with this act of kindness, God said, and then God said, essentially, God said, I love you and I will take care of you. The Sukkot, the huts that we build are in commemoration of the huts, the protection, the clouds of glory that God gave us as we left Egypt. So it's all connected to this time of year. So this time of year is the love. But the year, our calendar year, doesn't begin here, right? You get your Kroger calendar or your Dressler's calendar, whatever Hebrew calendar, Jewish calendar you have. We know that the calendar year 5785 began 6 months ago, the first day of Tishrei, because that's the order. The first thing is you gotta hold yourself to account. You gotta step up. You gotta feel like it's not okay to just, what's the expression, laissez-faire, to just like live whatever, I'll do whatever I want, because you got to hold yourself accountable. God says, what's going on? Let's do an audit. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Hadin. Let's put things on a scale. Let's see what's what. It's after that work that then we can feel, and we can feel better about the feeling of being embraced. So we need two things. We need to hold ourselves to account, and then we need to know that no matter what, even if we've fallen short, right? We have to do the audit. And then when we see, there's a gap between what God invested in us and and the return on the investment. Oh no, what do we do now? Know that God is still going to hug you and say, I love you anyway. But we still got to do the work. So this week, soul work is find one area in your life where you can challenge yourself to go beyond the status quo, to hold yourself to account and say, you know what? Today, it's going to be different. This lunch is going to be kosher. This phone call, this relationship is going to be healthier. What at one moment, one call, one meal, whatever it is, one moment this week, hold yourself to a higher standard, and then allow yourself the feeling of the divine embrace. However, now that's going to be a little bit more tricky. How do you do that? Maybe it's in prayer, maybe it's in meditation, maybe it's in study, but find the moment where you can really feel God's pure, unconditional embrace. And with this, we'll be primed to have a successful week and a happy week and a spiritual week and make the world a brighter place. Thank you very much for joining me this morning for Kabbalah Café. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sense? Yes? Good. Let me, some of you may, thank you very much, Dr. Maxey. Okay.
Beautiful class. Thank you very much. Beautiful.
Thank you, Mariana. Thank you. Okay, so a few quick points of announcement. Number one, this week is pretty much as usual. Like we have our Tuesday class, the Wednesday classes, the Thursday class. So everything is as normal. Next Sunday morning, we're having Kabbalah as regularly scheduled. Next Sunday evening at 7 p.m., there is the concert of the year. This is Chazan and brother-in-law, Yuri Cohen, world-renowned cantor who was the Chazan for 16 years of Sydenham Highlands North Synagogue in Johannesburg, the biggest and most prestigious in Johannesburg, the lead cantor for 16 years. He just moved, his wife and my wife are sisters. They just moved to Atlanta 2 weeks ago. And he's doing a concert that blends, he's also an opera singer that blends Jewish songs, opera, and Broadway tunes. It's going to be inspiring, thrilling, uplifting, fun, and funny. He was here. Yes, he was here for a special weekend. He came in. He flew in for that. But he lives here now. He's doing a concert next week, 7 p.m., doors open, and a wine tasting.
No way.
Levi Chitruk's bringing his wine.
No way.
Yes, Narrow Bridge Winery. Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. So we have the wine tasting, and then 7:45 the show begins. The theme is Ani Yehudi, Exodus 2025. Ani Yehudi, right? I'm a Jew. The idea of Jewish pride and Exodus 2025 pre-Passover concert. Join us. It's on the website, the Torah Center ATL.org. It should be right there on the homepage. If not, go to study or whatever, you'll find it there. Or just go to the Torah Center ATL.org/Exodus and you will see it there. Join us. It's going to be a ton of fun. Wine tasting, a show, and it's going to be the perfect way to get into the holiday spirit. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Pleasure. Tom, great to see you.
This book was up.
Oh, you love my art. You never heard that?
I've never seen
It's
that.
not in the works of halacha, that it's symbolized in the letters. Yeah. Merle, jump in.
Does it redeemed you with an outstretched arm?
Yes.
Does it say right arm specifically?
V'zeroa netuya. Interesting. Which arm is the outstretched arm? That's a very good question. Because I'll tell you why I'm not so sure to answer right arm. We typically think it's right, but it does it with strength. And the Hebrew word for outstretched arm in the Haggadah is zeroa netuya. Zeroa, he just said in the Hebrew, I read it in English, but sometimes the English doesn't, you can't catch these words in English because translation is translation. In the Hebrew, we just read, there's a verse that says, Biyaminai, with his right hand, right arm, uvizroya uzay, and with the hand of his strength. That means right is right, and zroa is left.
Wow.
So which one is it? I don't know for sure with the Haggadah and with that, which is the right. Good to see you guys. I'm gonna give you a hug. I said I'm gonna give you a hug. There's no escape. No, Burton, you're getting a hug. It's happening. All right, I'll be right back. 1 second. Let's do a hug.
Yes. You know.
From.
It is, not enough.
When it was beautiful, I think I was looking at our house.
I don't go around He's open for one, but I don't usually initiate.
So some. Yes.
Let me close down. All right, everybody. I'll sign off here because I'm gonna be choosing. Good to see you guys, Deborah. Great to see you, Tom, Dr. Maxey, Frank, Mariana, Jackie. I'll see you guys. Shavua Tov. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you soon.